Let's make this super cute Snuffle ball.
It's not only fun for your pet, but also great for their brain. A Snuffle ball gets them to move around and really work for their food, and they also have to use their problem-solving skills to figure out how exactly to get the food out. So they're a great way to add some enrichment to your pets' lives. And any pets. I have guinea pigs, as you can see, but cats, dogs, other types of rodents, all pets can benefit from some snuffling. So let's talk real quick about how to use it, and then we'll get into how to make it.
You just kind of hide the food in there, and of course I will show you more.
You can use treats, dry food. For my guinea pigs I use veggies and pellets mainly.
I want to give you a couple tips for pets who have never snuffled before or pets who are having a hard time. What I'll usually do with the ball is I'll just take apart and I'll fill it a lot. So like say I'll just take half of the ball and I'll just pour a ton of food in there. And by a ton, I mean like their whole meal's worth. And that way it's just like overflowing with food. It's like impossible for them not to be able to have success. You can just start to move the food more and more around and pushing it deeper in so that it's harder for them.
Let's talk size. So these are the dimensions that I recommend that you make the pumpkin pieces that you cut out. For my guinea pigs, I made them about 3 inches high and 4.5 inches wide, and I think that is perfect for them. I also think that'd be perfect for other pocket pets like hamsters, chinchillas, and also for birds. Even big birds, small birds, I think that this size would be good for any of them. For slightly larger animals like bunnies, cats, and small dogs, I would recommend making the pumpkins 5 inches high and 7.5 inches wide. And then for medium and large dogs, I would recommend about 7 inches by 10.5 inches. And these are just my suggestions. Lots of different sizes would work, but these are just what I think would work depending on the size of your animal. The most important thing is that you're going to want it to be bigger than their head. And basically you want their nose to be able to stick into each of the little spots. And speaking of pets sticking their noses into things, don't forget about whisker fatigue. So if you have a cat or potentially other animal that has whiskers, just watch out for if you notice signs of whisker fatigue. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, check out my spooky snuffle mat tutorial video where we talk a bit more about whisker fatigue. So let's make it. Here's what you're gonna need. You're going to need orange felt, a tiny amount of green felt, 2 zip ties, and a seam ripper or a knife and a cutting mat. To start out, you're gonna cut a bunch of pumpkin shapes out of felt. They're not exactly a pumpkin shape. You want them to be even from top to bottom and side to side, so like symmetrical. So it's kind of like 2 circles smushed together, but it's pretty close to a pumpkin. But it is really important that it is symmetrical. So just kind of fold it up like this and make sure that all the sides look the same. I used 12 pumpkin shapes, but if you would like your Snuffle ball to be a little bit more challenging and basically have more but smaller sections to put the food in, then you can use more, so maybe like 14 or 16. And if you would like these sections to be a little bit wider, you could use less, but I wouldn't recommend going under 10. I think at that point it will just look kind of funky and be shaped weird and not really look like a pumpkin anymore. One more thing you need to cut out is the stem out of some green felt. And basically the shape of this is like a quarter of a circle, and then I just kind of cut the tip off. Now we're gonna need to cut the holes that we're gonna use to string the pumpkin together, and trust me when I say I tried a ton of different methods for making holes, and a lot of them were very difficult, but I found this seam ripper to work the best. Now I know a lot of people might not have a seam ripper, so my suggestion for them would be to use like a knife, like a box cutter, something like that, and do it on a cutting board. But basically we're going to want to make 4 holes in each pumpkin, and they're basically going to be right in the center. I'll put a little picture right here so you can see where exactly you're going to want to cut those holes. And since we're cutting now, might as well cut these holes in the stem as well. Now we're going to take 2 zip ties and use those to sew the pumpkin together. First, string a zip tie through the top right hole. In these graphics I'm going to show you, I will use this first zip tie as a blue circle. Then the next zip tie you're going to put through the bottom right hole. And the second zip tie I'm going to show with a green circle. So now you have 1 zip tie in each of the holes on the right of your first pumpkin. Now the next layer isn't going to be flat like this, we're actually going to fold them. So we'll start by doing the one that goes through the top zip tie, so you can either fold it and put the zip tie through the 2 holes, or you can just put the zip tie through the 2 holes that are shown here. We're still only putting zip ties on the right side, but for this one you're going to start by putting the blue zip tie or the top zip tie through the hole on the top right and then through the hole on the bottom right so that it ends up folding, so it looks like there is a folded pumpkin on the top half. And then with the other zip tie, you will do the opposite, so you'll fold the pumpkin in the opposite direction and put the zip tie through the bottom right hole and then through the top right hole. So then you'll have a folded pumpkin on the top and a folded pumpkin on the bottom. And this is the most challenging part, so if you mess up, just pull it out and try again. Then you're going to alternate between doing one flat pumpkin and two folded pumpkins again, and another flat pumpkin and two more folded pumpkins again, continuing to only use the two holes on the right side, and it should end up looking like this. At this point you are halfway through, so we're going to take this moment to put in the stem, and basically you're just going to stick the stem through the top zip tie. I mean, at this point you don't really have a top and a bottom, it doesn't really matter because we made the pumpkin symmetrical, so through one of the zip ties that you want to be the top. Fold it in thirds like I did and stick the zip tie through the 3 holes that you made, and it should make this little stem. Real quick before we continue, I want to show you these super cute shirts I designed for guinea pig lovers like me. If you order right now with code SPOOKY, you'll get 10% off. Find the link in the description. Okay, thanks, back to the tutorial. Now we're going to start to weave the zip ties through the holes on the other side. So we did all the holes on the right side, you're just going to start putting them through the holes on the left side in order of how you can see them. Just make sure the zip tie on the bottom, you're only putting through the holes on the bottom, and the zip tie on the top, only putting through the holes on the top. Once you finish weaving the zip ties through all the holes, it should look like this. Go ahead and close the zip tie just as you normally would, putting the tail through the head end. Then you're going to go ahead and tighten the zip ties fairly tight, and then you're going to pull the pumpkin towards itself so that it starts to form a pumpkin shape, as in the layers go all the way around the circle. If you just cannot get it to look right, it's possible that you didn't put the pumpkins through the zip ties correctly, so it's not a big deal. Just cut the zip ties, go back to the part in the video where we string the pumpkin on, and try again. When you're happy with the shape, you can cut off the extra bit of the zip ties and make any finishing touch changes to the shape and floofiness. I don't know about you, but I'm honestly so thrilled with how it turned out. I think it really looks like a pumpkin, and I kind of impressed myself on this. Let me know in the comments if you're gonna make this. If you made it this far, I'm willing to bet you'd also enjoy making this spooky Snuffle mat that I made, so check out the video right there. Speaking of making things, make sure you make that red subscribe button turn gray. Your guinea pigs will love you for it. We post DIYs, behavior, training, and other topics about small pets.